Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to the Pick Trail. We sit down with our Arkansas basketball insider, Kevin McPherson. Kevin, how's it going, man?
It's going great, man. Anytime you're coming off wins, you
Oh,
get
yeah.
to talk basketball with a smile and some positivity. So
Right. You can show a little teeth just a little bit, right?
you're right. There's the alternative and then there's winning. So you always want to talk about the winning.
It's always good. Let's talk about the week. It started at Missouri after the Alabama 1 point loss. Only loss out of the last, 12, 13 games, Kevin. And they've been on the
Yep.
roll. They won double digits in both games this time at Missouri and back at Bud Walton Arena, which was crazy yesterday against Tennessee. But the way they won that game against Tennessee was on defense. Talk about the defense. This Razorbacks team yet again at the forefront.
It's been the calling card. We talk about 11 wins in 12 games. And it reminded me, you go back to the LSU game. Arkansas beats Missouri to get the winning streak started at home. Then they go on the road to LSU, and LSU had the number one rated defense in the country, and Arkansas actually out defensed the number one defense in the country. And so that
Yeah.
was the big road win, the first quad one win. And then they capped that 9 game winning streak with that huge home win over Auburn. It seems like it was just like fans rush the court, you knock off number one. Then you go on the road. It's a tough loss at Bama. And what does Arkansas do? Bounces right back. Missouri's not a team that's been easy to beat on its home court. No, it's not a quad 1 or 2 win,
Right.
and it's not necessarily a good Missouri team, but it's a tough out. And Arkansas
Yeah.
went in there and handled business. You said it. They won by double digits, and they were really never threatening that game. And they had a 21-point lead. That's how you bounce back and get that winning streak, a new winning streak started. You
Yeah.
don't sulk over a loss.
Right.
48 hours later, you're back on the winning side of things. But they come in and it was a great defensive effort by both teams, but Arkansas out defense, a team technically ranked higher in the efficiency ratings. Arkansas came in ranked 18th. That's nothing to sneeze at, top 20. And after that performance, they're now 12th in the country. And I'm going off of Ken Palm's ratings, his adjusted defensive efficiency numbers, which are highly respected and regarded. But it's been all about defense, CJ. So saying all of that, you can look at games where maybe Arkansas shot a little better from three. Maybe they had
Yeah.
more than 2 or 3 guys scoring the ball. Maybe they won this category or that. Just putting all of that aside, generally speaking, this team is, I think, elite defensively. And it's not just the game plans, it's not just the attention to detail. These guys play really hard. Derek Musselman keeps saying no one's playing any harder than this team the last month and a half in the country. And I think it is effort based
Yeah.
because you can only have X's and O's carry you so far. You really have to care about it, embrace it, and then go out and execute. And Arkansas has done that. The way that they funnel, pick and roll, pick and pop, they do their homework on what players, what they like to do, what they don't. And they try to create advantages. And I tweeted this yesterday during the game early, and Musselman talked about this post-game press conference. Tennessee did a really good job moving the ball side to side. They do cut hard. Their guards are all playmakers. They're one of the top assist teams in the country. And no matter how good they looked at times getting into their offense, Arkansas's defense was just better. They were able to figure out how to just still get stops. And anytime you've got guys that like to drive and there's Jalen Williams waiting on you to take a charge, it changes your trajectory. It changes your angles. You have to take wider lanes, and sometimes that gets you out of your shot or it makes it a tougher shot. So I just think Arkansas right now on the defensive end is playing so well. They look like a top 10 team coming in ranked 23rd. This looks like a top 10 team now, which it was early in the year before that 5 losses and 6 game stretch, but they never looked it. Now they look it. So you
Yeah.
think Arkansas is probably going to a pretty good bump when the polls come out tomorrow.
Kevin, they are absolutely rolling right now. When you talk about stopping the Tennessee Volunteers team to 27% shooting, and I think 4 of 24 from three. I mean, that's some of the best defense
Yeah.
I've seen in the country. They're definitely playing the best basketball in the SEC, hands down. Auburn lost yesterday to Florida at Florida, and they have those guys next on the schedule. But I mean, all the Razorbacks are stepping up, whether it's on defense, whether it's taking charges like
Yeah.
Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams has 40 charges on the year, which is outrageous because Jalen Williams, 40 charges. Some people don't have 40 charges
Yeah.
in their entire career, Kevin.
Yeah, he drew 5 offensive fouls yesterday. 4 of those were charges. He's up to 41 now on the actual charge count. And look,
Wow.
16 rebounds was a career high. He had his 4th
Yeah.
consecutive double-double with the 13 points. He and Note led the team in scoring. But 4th consecutive double-double and 9th in the last 13 games. So that's going back to the start of SEC play. There are many reasons and things that he does to fix problems on both ends of the floor. And then the production's at such a high level on top of that. And he impacts especially crucial points in games because as good as Arkansas is defensively, they're not always that good offensively. And that's what
Right.
makes some of these games a grind and the outcome still in doubt very late. And he just makes plays that help you win. And speaking of another playmaker, how about Devo Davis once again
Big shots.
stepping up? Two big threes in that last run. Arkansas outscored Tennessee. They were down. Hogs were down by a point with about almost 8 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Devo hits the first three to give Arkansas the lead for good. He hits another three a little bit later. And those were two, half of Arkansas's made threes for the game.
Yeah.
But Arkansas only had 3 field goals in that last 8 minute stretch. He hit two of them and they were threes.
Yeah.
The rest of it was the free throw line where the Arkansas Razorbacks delivered 10 of 12. You can't ask for more than that when you're trying to put a team away. Chris Like steps up and makes 6 of 6. D. Stoney, he's still maybe struggling finding his finishing touch
Yeah.
around the basket. 8 points, but he hit two big free throws late and he had 10 rebounds. A guy that's just a warrior on the glass. We know that. And then Note, even though he only played 24 minutes and fouled out early
Yeah.
and was really spotty with his floor time because of that foul trouble, he was efficient. 3 of 6 from three. Arkansas needed all 13 of those points. In a game like that, where you hold Tennessee to its lowest scoring output of the season and you're getting your lowest scoring output, and neither team can shoot the ball, and
Yeah.
the pace, it looks like it's a slow down to a crawl. A 13-point game feels like a 30-point game for a player because every little, that's big scoring in a low overall scoring game like that.
Man, you talk about the commentators are talking about the exact same thing. It feels like a 20-point victory, but it was only about 10, which is still double digits, which is still good for Arkansas. But Devo Davis, two big threes down the stretch. But JD Note has been in foul trouble for, I want to say, for a good little minute now, at least the past 5 games. And it goes back to the game in Alabama with somebody, when he goes out with those fouls, somebody else always steps up, whether it's Chris Likes, whether it's Devo Davis, whether it's Jalen Williams. I always think Jalen Williams steps up when JD goes out in foul trouble.
Yeah, and think about Stanley Umide, who did not have a great offensive game
Yeah.
yesterday. He's really struggled shooting the ball, but he's been so good offensively since the start of SEC play.
Very
And a
solid.
lot of that's been on the road, by the way. When you're on the road, someone's got to step up and score. Again, that's not the side of the ball that's Arkansas' strength. It's defense.
Yeah.
But when your defense is so good, and it's been so good for Arkansas, and then you play a blue collar style, so you find ways to get to the free throw line where Arkansas has been outstanding on offense. That's really probably the calling card. We know it's not 3-point shooting, and we know there's some unforced errors and some
Yeah.
bad turnover games. But Arkansas won the turnover battle yesterday
Yeah.
against a Tennessee team that one of the things that team hung their hat on defensively was generating steals and turnovers, especially those quick guards, Kennedy Chandler, Ziegler,
Yeah.
guys like that. Arkansas won that turnover battle 15-10 +5. But they converted that into +11 in points off turnovers, 13-2. So if you want to look at one statistic outside of just saying both teams played great defense, I think the turnover battle and what Arkansas did with those turnovers was as big as anything. Because really up until the end when Tennessee was fouling, trying to stop the clock, and Arkansas got some extra free throws, really up until that point, both teams had gotten to the line about the same amount of times. Both teams were dreadful shooting the ball, and neither offense, as good as Missouri can move the ball,
Right.
Arkansas kept taking away the finishing.
Yeah,
They
they
just
did.
couldn't, they just wouldn't let them finish. And so by the end of the game, Tennessee didn't look as sharp or as aggressive. It wore Tennessee down. So kudos to Arkansas for once again manufacturing ways to win, getting just enough offense when it needs it to go to complement that great defense. And then you win going away. You get a double digit win in a low scoring game like that. Like you said, 10 feels like 15 or 20.
It does. And they're coming off that double-digit victory against Tennessee. Now they head to Gainesville, Florida, where Florida just took down the number 2 team in the country, Auburn, who they took down earlier this year. How tough is this next matchup that the Razorbacks have going to Florida?
It's tough. And, we've been talking so much about Jalen Williams, and I think there's an argument to be made if you look at everything he does. He may be the most versatile, impactful, most valuable player in the SEC because all the things he does. But look what's coming up on the schedule. He battled Walker Kessler. His team won that battle. Kessler had a big game a few weeks ago when Auburn came in. Now he gets two of the top big men in back-to-back games. You're talking Florida and Castleton on Tuesday, and then Saturday when Kentucky comes into Bud Walton Arena, it's Toshibwe. So we're going to learn more about Jalen Williams. I have no doubt he's going to be up for these challenges. But a big thing for Arkansas going on the road is the fact that Castleton's been back in the lineup after missing some games. This team's starting to look like it's playing better basketball. and they beat number one Auburn, or well, not number one now, but number
Number two.
two Auburn in that upset last night. So they're feeling good, and then get another home game. So I think Arkansas on that quick turnaround. I think Arkansas is going to have its chances to win every game on the schedule because of the way they're playing, and that defense travels, and it has traveled for this team. So, I think it's going to be a great test for Arkansas. We knew there was this back part of the second half of the SEC schedule was backloaded with those quad one win games. Every game here on out is a quad one game. You win, you get another quad one win. Arkansas is now 3-4 in quad one games. They've won their last three of those. They're 6-1 in quad two. The resume looks really strong. This is a team that I think, ceiling wise, as far as seeding, might be a 2 or 3, even if they were to win out. But they're looking really good right now. Probably if the season ended today, a 4 or 5 seed. But I think Arkansas is still riding its own. It controls its own destiny. 2 games back of number one Auburn in terms of SEC standings. By the way, now tied with Tennessee for third.
Yep.
And you're only a game back of Kentucky in second. So Arkansas is still got a chance mathematically and even realistically with 4 games to go to win the SEC title. But either way, the top 4 teams I think in this league are going to be rewarded in postseason with some really high seedings in the NCAA tournament. And Arkansas right now is in that top 4, which gets you a double bye, by the way, in the SEC tournament to those Friday quarterfinals. That's a gauntlet. The SEC tournament's a gauntlet.
Gauntlet.
You want one of those top 4 seeds.
It's going to be a complete gauntlet, especially in the SEC. I mean, you got Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas. My goodness, those top 4 are just ridiculous. And when Arkansas takes down another top 25 team like Tennessee, and they have LSU coming back in Tennessee again, what does this do for the recruiting trail coming into next year and the seasons ahead?
It's interesting because a big part of why Arkansas had success last year and this year is because of that 2020 class that
Right.
Eric Musselman signed out of high school that was ranked top 5 in the country by ESPN. Moses Moody, Jalen Williams, Devo Davis, KK Robinson, who got some run
He
in,
did. He got
in
in.
crunch time last night. But look, so when you recruit well and it helps you win, it just starts to snowball and feed off itself. The monster, right?
Right.
Nick Smith Jr., 5-star, McDonald's All-American, in the one of the 5 finalists, by the way, for the Naismith Trophy for National Player of the Year. Jordan Walsh, who was in Bud Walton Arena again yesterday for that game, got to see Jordan and say hi. Another McDonald's All-American for Arkansas signed at Link Academy, 6'7" combo forward, who, by the way, is a top 10 5-star prospect. And Arkansas had a very important visitor, Anthony Black, the 6'7". I call him a combo guard. He can play wherever he wants. Another McDonald's All-American, top 25-star guy at Duncanville, Texas. He took an official visit to Arkansas, back in September during football season. And he was in Bud Walton Arena yesterday on an unofficial visit for this game. I interviewed him. He told me he's nearing a decision. It'll probably be in a month or so, sometime maybe in March. He talked about the fact that he's going to be in that McDonald's game, and he with Nick and Jordan, and then he talks to those guys regularly, and they're telling him he feels like they're shooting him straight about what it means to be committed and signed and on board with this Razorback class, and so he appreciates their candor. But I think Arkansas is probably in the best spot right now with Anthony Black than it has been, which is saying a lot because they've been in a pretty good spot. Top 3, I think, for him when you look at teams like Gonzaga, Oklahoma State. TCU's made a push. He's got pro options, the NBL in Australia, the G League. There's going to be some considerations for that. But I think Arkansas might be in the best spot it's been in with Anthony Black. And Arkansas already has the number 2 ranked class in the nation. Duke's number 1. I don't know that adding Anthony Black makes you win recruiting ranking there.
Right.
So what? You can make the argument you've got the best class, and it only bolsters what is a great class when you look at what Eric Musselman's already done. So to answer your question, I went full circle. Winning breeds good, excellence in recruiting or improved in recruiting. And then the recruiting itself helps you win. But here's what I think makes Musselman different. He knows how to push all the right buttons to create excitement. It was already a big game yesterday. He brought in the Pro Hogs because they're on All-Star break.
Everybody came in.
He didn't just rest on his laurels at 20,000. We're going to show up to see
That's
Arkansas
true.
beat Tennessee. He wants to build excitement around this program again and lean into the history and the success the Pro Hogs are having that helps him sell recruits. So you've got Anthony Black on campus on a day when guys like Bobby Portis, Daniel Gafford, Moses Moody, Isaiah Joe, Mason Jones. You're bringing Justin Smith, Adrio Bailey, Jalen Hare. I mean, the Martin twins that he coached at Nevada that are having success in the NBA. He brought all that love in there. The Pro Hogs introduced the current starting lineup for the game. So if you're a 5-star recruit and you're in there, whether you're Jordan Walsh, who's already
Right.
signed, or you're Anthony Black, the thoughts in your head are, I could be feeling all this in just a few months. This could be me.
In just
And
a
I could be a
few
part of
months.
something big, because it's not just about the atmosphere. There's actual results on the floor that say this is a top tier team. So you get all of that. You get the benefit of all that. So yeah, I think it just starts snowballing for your program. And I think Arkansas is in a great spot right now for Anthony Black. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to make any predictions right now, but I feel better about where Arkansas sits with Anthony Black than I ever have.
Well, if they add him, that's going to be even more fuel to the fire, Kevin. They're 21-6 this year, 10-4 in the conference. They sit at number 3 with Tennessee, like you said earlier. But with the recruits, when you bring in an NBA champion like Bobby Porter sitting on the sideline, I mean, it has to give those recruits just a little more smile, a little more give. Like, hey, that could be me here in a couple years if I go join Coach Musselman and the Razorback staff.
Portis brought the Larry O'Brien trophy onto the court. Now, I
Yeah,
don't know if the Bucks
nice.
trust him with the actual Larry or if that's a replica that they use in the prop, but it was pretty, man,
It
and
was
it
nice.
was bling, and it's hardware, and it was earned, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then
heard
so
it.
he's a guy that's and you look around, Moses Moody being the first one and done, like you said,
Yep.
and a lottery pick. Arkansas's got a lot of selling points, but there's so much excitement in the building when you have a day like that. Nick Smith Jr. had a makeup game on Saturday against Conway. He had planned on being there, and I know he wanted to be there. But he's a basketball player, so he went
Yeah.
and played his game, and I'm glad he did that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could ask for more than what Arkansas had in terms of atmosphere and results. After having that huge night against Auburn, you're like, can anything top that? I don't know that this top that, but they're both, there's some great symmetry there when
Yeah.
you start talking about 2 real games in between, but back-to-back Bud Walton games. I don't remember that much energy, quality of teams, both who Arkansas was
Right.
playing and Arkansas, in all of it since the 90s when Nolan had it rolling and Arkansas was arguably the top program in the country. For a while there, they were when you looked at just sheer record and accomplishments. So that's not overstating things. And I think in these last 2 games at Bud Walton Arena, there's been that kind of feeling in terms of not only atmosphere, but just everything else going on. And then just the quality of basketball. Again, Arkansas is now a ranked team. It got its first win against a ranked team as a ranked team this season. We know they got some
Right.
last year. But they're 3-0 against ranked teams this year, and they've all come in there during
Yeah.
this 11 wins in 12 games. So good times right now. Fans are going to look back on this season and go, what did you do in the postseason? So there's more work to be done. But right now, they got it going in the right direction at the right time of year, CJ.
They are absolutely rolling, and they end the season off at Bud Walton Arena with LSU, their last home game. Their last home loss was against Vanderbilt back in January 4th, Kevin, back when Scottie Pippen and Scottie Pippen Jr. were both in the arena, and Scottie Pippen Jr. went for 20-plus points and took down the Razorbacks. But they haven't lost a game since January 4th at Bud Walton Arena. That atmosphere, I know, last night or yesterday afternoon was absolutely crazy. I know it didn't match up to the Auburn, but Tennessee still a top 20 program.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rick
And look,
Barnes is one of the best coaches in the country.
absolutely. And look, we tend to remember some of the negative stuff and when it's happening. People are going, well, how did you lose at Vanderbilt? How did this Arkansas team? Well,
Yep.
this isn't the same team.
This is not.
It's the same players, but there were some rotation tweaks.
Yep.
But there's also buy-in. Musselman doesn't build a program long term. There's a lot of turnover every year, and he brings in new blood, and sometimes it just takes a while. But the other thing is, when you look at where it is right now, if you go back to the start of last season, and we're getting close to the end of this one, at least the regular season, Arkansas has the best overall record and the best record in regular season league games of any team in the SEC. They're number one, best overall record,
Yeah.
best league record going back to the start of last season. So, there are a lot of ways you can look at the Elite Eight, finishing second in the SEC last year, finishing top 10. All of those things are reflections of something that's going really well right now. But the records, when you really break it down to wins and losses, Arkansas is at the top of the league when you go back to the beginning of last season. So they've got more work to do. That's not to say that means anything that's moving forward. We know all these next 4 games to finish out league play just to get to the SEC tournament before the NCAA are all quad 1 and tough. Some of them are on the road, but what has Arkansas done 11 of 12. And really, Alabama, as much as Arkansas shot itself in the foot that
Yep.
day and didn't play its best, still had a chance to win. So
Still had a chance to win.
things are riding high right now, CJ.
They are. When you got a good thing going, you just keep it going, Kevin. Well, hopefully next week when I talk to you, we have a couple more smiles after these next two games that they have, one on the road and one back at Bud Walton Arena. I appreciate you coming and stopping by, Kevin.
Good to be with you, CJ. Really, every Sunday I look forward to this when the wins are rolling in. When the losses are coming in, we still got to talk hoops and we still got to get through it. But
this makes it a little more tougher.
This is fun.
This is fun. All right, guys, don't you go anywhere. We got more Pick Trail after the break.